LeetCode 1472 Design Browser History. We're going to implement this browser history as a class. It's going to have a forward, a back, and a visit method and a constructor. We're going to have two stacks. One of them is the back stack and one of them is the forward stack. And I'm going to diagram how that works right now. We'll get into the code in a minute. So here's the diagram where you can see from left to right we have 5 pages. And I'm not going to put URLs in there. I'm just going to list them as 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, the order in which they're visited. And let's say the user visits all 5 of those sequentially, starting with number 1 in the constructor as the home page. And then we go 1 is the home page, 2, 3, 4, and 5 are visited with the visit method. And then we want to go back to. So in that case, what would happen is the back stack would have, as you can see on this diagram, the back stack will have 1, 2, and 3, the home page and the first 2 subsequent pages after that. And the forward stack is going to have 4 and 5. And the forward stack, you notice, is kind of in reverse order of the back stack, because the back stack goes 1, 2, and 3, and the forward stack goes 4 and then 5. So they're sequentially in opposing order. And the reason I've implemented is 2 stacks rather than using one array and having a pointer is I'm just more comfortable with it. I am used to doing undo redo commands, which is a much more sophisticated and complicated problem to solve because we have to have a command object which has to implement some sort of a command function, which could be abstracted away, could be changing the color. And I actually implemented something like this in a style sheet editor written in JavaScript in the year 2005 for a company called EasyBoard in San Francisco. It was a very complicated, hard project, and I don't think they really did much with it. They didn't seem to value it that much. It was really hard. It was really hard. It had a 128 by 128 hue saturation value picker and everything to edit the style sheet visually within the browser and then save it and upload it using XML HTTP request. I digress. We have an undo and a redo, and that's very similar to forward and back. The difference with this is we can go multiples, and we don't actually have to have a command. So it's a little simpler, generally simpler than undo and redo. But when we go back, we take things off. Let's say we were to go 1, so you get this 1, 2, 3, 4, and then 5. And then we were to go back, we would go back to 4, and 5 would go on the forward stack, and then 4 would go on the forward stack, and our current pointer would be at the top of the back stack. Always, the current pointer is at the top of the back stack. And when we go all the way back to 1, if we try to go back further than that, it won't let us. You can't go back to 0 or the empty blank, about blank. There's only the home page. Similarly, when we go forward, we can't go past the end. It doesn't let you go past the end. You have to return the last one. So we have to have some constraints built into the forward method so that if we're on the last one, we can't go past it and get undefined. They don't want that. We have to return that last one. And if we're going back and we're trying to go back before the home page, it won't let us. It is just going to return the home page. Pretty simple constraints there. And the visit method will obviously clear out the forward. So if we go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then we go back 2, and then we visit something, then the visit is going to be the next 4th. So it'll be 1, 2, 3, and then the new page we visited, and that forward history gets cleared out. That new visited page goes at the top of the back stack. And notice again, though, as I mentioned before, that the back stack and the forward stack are kind of in reverse order. And so now let's get into the code. Let's take a look at that. So that is how we've implemented the forward stack using unshift and the back stack using push. So when we go back, we have to unshift things onto the forward stack, and that's right here on line on line 20, and we go forward, we have to push things onto the back stack using push. So really simple. The constructor is just visit. Visit is setting the forward stack length to 0 and then pushing the back stack, so you pushing the URL onto the back stack. Backstack and forward stack, I should start out with, are both private, and that's notated with the octothorpe here. That makes it private in Ecmascript. The browser history class does not need a use strict directive because classes are always in strict mode in Ecmascript. If you declare a class, it's in strict mode. So we don't have to say use strict. It's strict. That's moving forward with Ecmascript, the design of kind of getting rid of that sloppy mode. Kind of a sloppy approach to getting rid of sloppy mode. It's probably always going to be there, but they're trying to phase it out and sweep it over into the corner. But it's probably going to be there forever. So there's our constructor. Visit sets the forward stack length to 0, pushes the current URL onto the back stack. When we go back, we have to know a couple of things. Number one, we have to know if we can go back, if we're going back beyond that. And then the other thing we have to know is, can we push these things onto the forward stack? So to get the segment that we're going to push onto the forward stack, we have to know how far we're going back. So if the steps that we're going back is greater than the length of the stack, then we have to go back to that very first one. And then we're going to splice that. So if it's greater than the back stack's length, then we're going to splice it from the first one. So the back stack is then going to be collapsed to the very first one, and we're going to take all those other ones and we're going to put it on the forward stack. Okay. So then the back stack, otherwise, if we can go back all of those, then we're going to splice from the end. So let's say we had 5 things on our history, on our browser history, 5 URLs, and we go back 2. We're going to splice that -2, so it's going to take the last 2 and it's going to put those on the forward stack. And it's going to do those by putting them on the front of the forward stack by using the array.prototype.unshift. So our forward stack is kind of an upside down back stack. It's kind of the upside down of it. So when we go back, we go this way, and we go forward, we go this way, and they're 2 different stacks. And that's kind of how I notated it in this little diagram here. So when we go forward, it's the opposite. We check to see if the forward length is 0, and if it is, then we just return the last one in the browser history. There's no other URLs to go forward to, so we're just going to return whatever is at the back stack. And that's always going to return a URL. So even if the back stack is at the home page, we'll still return a URL. And then we calculate the steps by reassigning to a variable. Backstacks by checking math.min, the number of steps, to the forward stack's length. So if the forward stack's length is greater than the number of steps, then we're going to take that number of steps. However, if the number of steps is greater than the forward stack's length, then obviously we can't go past that, so we have to take that last one. And then we calculate our segment by splicing that from forward stack's 0, because it's upside down back stack. So we're going to take them from the top of that forward stack, and we're going to splice it down. And in this case, we'd splice it down 2. We'd splice it down that 2 if we were going forward there. Sorry. And that's the segment. And then we push that segment right onto there. So if we had 4 and 5 on our forward stack, we had 4 and 5, we take that 4 and 5 and we push that right onto the end of the back stack. So we don't have to use any reversing. Now, if we were going to do this the other way, if we were just going to use two stacks and we're going to push them onto the end, we would have to keep reversing the order of those, which would make it less efficient. And then finally, for both of these methods, we return the last thing that we took off of there. So this, the segment at -1 would be the same thing as this .backstack at -1. We could even put that in there, and that would be just fine. You'd have to put this in there, obviously, and that'll just work as well. And drum roll. There you have it. Same thing. Get pretty crappy performance out of this one. I don't know why. This one had some console.log and it got better performance. But overall, that's how you do it. Thanks for watching.